Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and this is another episode of Road to Dune. So last week I kind of took off YouTube. I didn't make any videos or put any videos out last week, but there are a few Dune articles floating around out there. There's some newer ones that came out a few days ago. The one I'm going to talk about now, this one is a couple weeks old already. Now, it's not earth-shattering news about the film or anything, but the director, John Harrison, who directed the 2000 Dune miniseries, he was interviewed a little bit and asked some questions of the new Dune film that's coming out in Dune 2020, because he's an executive producer on that film. So I'm going to get into the article right away, and then I'll give my thoughts on it all. Dune executive producer and former director has high hopes for Denis Villeneuve epic. Dune is due out at the end of the year and is highly anticipated. Now, former director of Dune and its sequel Children of Dune TV series, which is now out on Amazon Prime Video, has spoken out on his experience taking on the world of Arrakis and his high hopes for the upcoming legendary film directed by Denis Villeneuve. So I just want to make a quick correction here in the opening paragraph of this article. Now, they actually make an error. John Harrison directed Dune 2000, the miniseries, but he didn't direct Children of Dune. That one he produced and he co-wrote it. They had another guy come in and direct Children of Dune. Dune is perhaps the most anticipated film of the year. Frank Herbert's 1965 epic science fiction novel has spanned a multitude of generations over the past 65 years, and has been told a number of times in many different ways. Of course, the upcoming 2020 film of the same name, directed by Denis Villeneuve, is due to take on the relentless world of Arrakis in its largest adaptation yet. The itineration of the story before Villeneuve's upcoming film came in the form of a TV show, again titled Dune. The 2000 TV miniseries was written and directed by John Harrison, a prolific writer, producer, and director whose work sprawled through a lot of the 1980s and 1990s. This TV series was, in turn, followed up by a sequel miniseries, Children of Dune, which was based on the second and third novels penned by Herbert. In a conversation with Express.co.uk about the upcoming re-release of the sequel miniseries on Amazon Prime Video, Harrison talked all things Dune, Children of Dune, and Villeneuve's upcoming adaptation. Harrison explained that in the late 90s, he was approached by well-known TV and movie producer Richard Rubinstein to adapt the Dune story into a TV series. He explained that although it was a tough decision, he was thrilled because it meant I had 6 hours to tell the story. Although he was already a fan of Herbert's epic story, what really drew Harrison to the adaptation was that he thought Dune was very Shakespearean in narrative. He said, "It's full of rich, royal battling, almost Jacobin kind of intrigue and backstabbing. It's very, very classic in its way Herbert created the world, even though it was set 10,000 years in the future." This series was, of course, a huge success and prompted the production company to push Harrison for a second series. The 2003 miniseries Children of Dune was also received well, but unfortunately not well enough to garner a third series, despite containing standout performances from the likes of a younger James McAvoy and Susan Sarandon. Since then, Harrison has not delved any further into Dune's expansive universe, until he was included in Dune 2020's ranks of executive producers. Unfortunately, he couldn't give too much away about the upcoming Villeneuve adaptation, as he explained he didn't have much to do with it. He said, "I haven't met Denis, however I'm a huge fan, and I was thrilled when Legendary was able to sign him onto the project." Going on to talk about what he might expect for the latest silver screen run of Dune, he confessed, "I have really high hopes for it. I'm really excited. I'm not directly involved into production at all. However, I've got my ear to the ground about it, and I'm thrilled with the way things are turning out." Harrison couldn't help but continue. I think it's going to be absolutely terrific, and I'm glad it's getting a big screen adaptation again. So that was a pretty interesting interview. Didn't really give much away about the film or anything, but one thing I like about this article is it acknowledges the success of the 2000 miniseries. A lot of news articles that have been coming out talking about since the new Dune movie has been announced and it's going to be out in December. A lot of articles that have come out have talked about the 84 film and have always talked about how Dune has never been successfully adapted for screen, which is not true. They always gloss over the miniseries, or they just kind of clump it in with the 84 film. They'll always say how the 84 film was a flop and the miniseries was forgettable, which isn't true. The miniseries was not a flop by any stretch of the imagination, and it has not been forgotten, at least by Dune fans. Anyway, because this was a big deal at the time when it came out. I remember really looking forward to this miniseries, and I have both of these miniseries on DVD. I have and watched them both again recently, a few years ago. And they, the special effects don't hold up quite as well. They were kind of one of the criticisms I had about the miniseries was the special effects, even for the day, were a little bit behind everything else, I thought anyway, as far as CGI and stuff goes. But when rewatching it, that kind of little bit lower budget special effects actually adds some kind of an odd charm to the miniseries. And the other thing, Children of Dune, the miniseries, they kind of like downplay it a little bit in this article about how it wasn't as successful as the first miniseries, which that wasn't really true. It was hugely successful again. Both of these miniseries were. And I don't think that's the reason they didn't go on to make a third miniseries based on Frank Herbert's books. I think there was something else behind the scenes. I think sci-fi just wanted to go in a different direction, and then they started churning all these like garbage shows and garbage made-for-TV movies and stuff, and got away from things like this, like the Dune miniseries and things like that, which is really too bad. I think sci-fi kind of went downhill a lot over the past so many years. So that, I think, is a little bit misleading, that Children of Dune was not as well received, and that's why we didn't get any more Dune miniseries from sci-fi. Now, the other thing, John Harrison has been attached to Dune for a long time, so has Richard Rubinstein. Richard Rubinstein tried to get the movie made with Paramount back in, starting in 2007, right up until, but it was just stuck in development hell forever. Went through a couple directors, and then finally Paramount gave up on it. But Richard P. Rubinstein was like one of the driving forces that kept pushing for a Dune film, and he's still attached to this one as a producer as well, along with John Harrison. So both of these guys have been on board this Dune train the whole time. So interesting article, and I'm glad they gave the Dune miniseries some respect that it deserves. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.